Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Robert Anthony with your Dodge Grand Caravan vlog video update from Florida. Well, I'm officially back in the state of Florida, and I have logged 10,200 miles on this trip. So, kind of a little round robin about where I went, and then I want to share with you a couple of thoughts at the end of the video here. As we are now today, I woke up today celebrating 500 subscribers. It may change after this video, and I'm willing to acknowledge that, but it's a monumental day for me. I gained, from this trip, approximately 250 subscribers. Many of you I met on the road, and I think that that is outstanding. I'm so happy that you have chosen to follow me. And again, that may change as this video progresses. But let me explain to you where I went. And then I want to share with you a couple of things that I've been thinking about as I've been traveling and listening to people talk to me on the road and going through all the different states. I stopped in Hiawassee, Georgia on my way out of Florida at the end of September to hang out with my aunt and uncle. I always enjoy doing that. And I did that for a day and a half. Helped them do a little work around their mountain farm area thing. Moved up to Michigan, spent a couple of days in Lansing, hanging out with my parents. Had some business I had to take care of with my parents. We were able to talk through a few issues that had been upsetting me for a number of months, and I feel like it came out with a real good resolve. Not something that I really wanted to deal with, but at the same time, I think that family is important, and to me, it was important to get that situation resolved. Moved through there, went up to the Higgins Lake area, spent a day with my cousin, who I think is really great, running his dogs. They hunt rabbits, and he has beagles. They're a hound of some kind. Lots of barking, lots of running through the woods. I'm not a hunter or fisherman. Him and his brother are like Grizzly Adams type people. You know, they're just great at that kind of stuff. I'm not that guy. But I always enjoy it. I always enjoy seeing it and learning. Went from there. My daughter talked me into stopping at Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore on my way through. I was not going to do that, but I drove all the way up through the Upper Peninsula and drove through the great state of Michigan up into the Upper Peninsula, and I was amazed at just going and hiking to Mosquito Beach. So I did that, and then from there drove through into the night and ended up in Fargo, North Dakota. I had to stay in Fargo, North Dakota. Fargo, the movie, is one of my favorite movies of all time. And then I drove over to Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and I stayed at the North Unit. I didn't go to the South Unit, and I'll address this a little bit later in this video, but I went to the North Unit, and there was a woman drove in that I met in the Grand Tetons on my trip in the spring. And so we sat and talked for the evening over a glass of wine, and it was really great. I think that she's real special. I consider her a friend, and we are on polar opposite ends of the political spectrum, to say the least. I hope that she feels the same about me. Drove all the way from there over to Bozeman, Montana, picked up Joelle, my wife, and we drove up and spent 5 days in Glacier. After that, we drove down through, stayed in Spokane overnight, had a wonderful dinner at an Italian restaurant, went up to North Cascades. I did, after she flew home, went over to North Cascades and spent 3 or 4 days in there. What a special place. From there, on the advice of a logger, retired logger that I had met, I took a special route down to Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier wasn't really great. I couldn't see the mountain. There was too much fog and rain and snow. And that followed me for about 6 days. And so I was kind of headed down through the Spokane area back into Mount Rainier. I was going to go down to Crater Lake, and I just couldn't stand the weather. And the environment, the climate there, and I don't mean the climate like the weather, I mean just the entire climate. It was very depressing. I'll just say that. And so I decided to trek on back through, went down into Utah, Antelope Island, went from there to the San Rafael Swell, from the San Rafael swell, which is really swell. Let me tell you about that right now. If you haven't seen that, you're missing out. I moved my way down through into Capitol Reef, up to Bryce, over to past down to Horseshoe Bend, Page, over to well, that was the other way. Yeah, I went back the other way, and then over to Las Vegas. Came back up through Flagstaff to spend a few days with my cousin. Then went up to Horseshoe Bend. Actually got some really epic drone photography over the Horseshoe Bend area, legally, I might add. And then I went from there up to Natural Bridges. I wanted to go up there to photograph the Milky Way. That was a total bust, waste of time. But I do love the Bears Ear area, and I love that entire environment up there. And I think I went over to Mule Overlook or something. I found a lot of real secret spots on this trip. Went from there up to Moab, spent some days in Arches, and then kind of systematically worked my way back down through New Mexico to come home. I want to share with you a couple of thoughts that I have about myself, about this channel. And it sparked by a lady had watched my video from 2020 where I did some fall leaf photography. And I don't have a way to link this because this is just raw and uncut and it's just going up. But, you know, in that video, I talked about how the state is run by a tyrant. I'm not even sure if I referenced Gretchen Whitmer's name. It's very possible. But if you know me, I believe in liberty. I am a small government human being. I am a conservative politically, which is kind of an anomaly because I'm in the flower business and I do photography and video. And most of the time, creatives are big government people. Well, I can't say most of the time. That's stereotyping. A lot of the creatives and a lot of the people that I meet that are artists, even in the church, they tend to support more of a liberal cause. That's fine. I don't really care. It's up to you. But I think back to the most popular video that I made. Well, and so anyway, so she's like, you know, let's keep politics out of this. And yeah, okay, that's fine. You know, I can almost bet if I said something about Donald Trump or the Republican Party, she might be one to take me to task about that and, you know, go on the attack. But I didn't say anything really offensive in that video. I just, you know, I don't agree with what Whitmer was doing to the state of Michigan at that time. And there are a lot of people that do. They like living under oppression and tyranny. It's true. People vote in totalitarianists all the time. So I started thinking about a number of things, and I just want to share my heart with you on this as we move forward since we're at the 500 subscriber mark. The most popular video I made, it had 20,000+ views. And you'll look through my channel and you'll see, you know, the van videos have like 3,000 or 4,000, a couple of them, but that's about it. But in that video, I really took Whitmer to task, and it really built a lot of traction, and it gained a lot of popularity, and it was me being me. And you know, one of my friends that was on the photography thing because he wanted to learn about photography, you know, messaged me and he unsubscribed because it's not what he's here for. And I understand that. So since that time, I've been very careful to tamp down who I am as a person and what I believe as a person because, well, I just don't want to offend any of you. With my personality being the way that it is, I have decided that is literally impossible for me to not offend people. It's just going to happen. And I understand that. So I'm not saying that I'm going to go political. I'm not. I am absolutely not. But I'm not going to apologize if I make references like what I'm going to make in my observation of what I've noticed as I've been driving around the country as we close this video out. We don't have to agree politically, and we can still be entertained. You know, as an example, I happen to really enjoy, or I used to enjoy, if you're not familiar with who he is, Casey Neistat, who is one of the bigger YouTubers. He is a bleeding heart liberal. Hates Trump, loved Clinton, but he is a good videographer. He makes really thought-provoking, entertaining videos. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's great. JP Sears was one. He's very popular, or was on YouTube. He actually was a huge proponent or advocate of Black Lives Matter. when all of the riots started. And JP Sears is one, if you don't know who he is, look him up. He is one of the funniest, most gifted satirists I have ever seen in my life. He's incredibly intelligent, and he is freaking hilarious. I just think that he's great, Like Casey Neistat, JP is unapologetic in his beliefs, but he's very entertaining. Well, I watched JP go from supporting Black Lives Matter, donate to Black Lives Matter, to what the hell was I thinking? And I thought that said a lot about JP, a tremendous about character and integrity. I think that's really, really great. So one of the things that has frustrated me as I've been driving around, I've been listening to some of the hearings and some of the things going on. Apparently there's been some Facebook whistleblower, and there's been some TikTok executives being grilled on Capitol Hill. Rand Paul is yet again have Dr. Fauci up there. And let me tell you what my thoughts are on the political leadership in this country. They all suck. And here's what I mean when I say that. I'm watching Senator Ted Cruz grill the guy at TikTok, and Cruz is making great points. And, the guy at TikTok is skirting the issue. He's a punk. He's just a punk. Like the guy that runs Twitter and Zuckerberg. They're all just punks as far as I'm concerned, right? So that's my opinion. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but that's my opinion. My opinion, they're just chumps. So he's talking to this guy, sniveling brat, pretty good looking guy, but he's a sniveling, snot-nosed brat, and Cruz is like, you're not answering the question. I'm giving you the question. You're not answering the question. Do you understand that you're under oath? You are in front of the Senate of the United States of America, and you're under oath. And Rand Paul does the same thing with Fauci, and Fauci continues to change things and lie about things or whatever, right? So I don't like liberal leaders, but I'm becoming increasingly tired of all the empty threats. One of the things that bothers me more than anything are parents who bitch and complain about the attitudes of their kids and what they're doing and what they've amounted to, and they don't take ownership of the fact that it's their fault that the kid is where they're at today. And why is that? That's because they are all full of bluster, and they yell and scream, you better not do that again, you better not do that again, because if you do, or else, you better not do that, or else, you better not do that, or else. And then they do it, and there's no consequences. And that's what these Senate hearings reminded me of. You're under oath. So? Who gives a flying F if they're under oath as far as I'm concerned from what I'm seeing, because there's no accountability. They don't get into trouble. They don't go to jail. They just don't. Nobody gets into trouble even though they're under oath or they're stretching the truth or they're lying. It doesn't matter. Words don't mean anything. The country is falling apart because we lack character and integrity. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I learned of a woman that I know personally while I was gone who was attempting to get disability through the government. So she gets paid to stay at home because she's disabled. Now, this woman is probably 100 pounds overweight, smokes like a chimney, and eats horribly. And for all I know, doesn't even drink water to speak of. So all of the things that are creating a disability in her are continuing to be encouraged because she's going to get disability. What's the motivation to change if I can keep doing the things that I want to do that are poorly conceived or a bad idea or unhealthy when the government will pay me to stay home? The government will pay for me to remain in my victim state. Well, where does that come from? Likely from having parents that allowed you to do the things that you shouldn't be allowed to do, even though you did something that created a problem, disobedience, stealing, whatever, Like, I remember when I stole a candy bar, I think, at Myers. I was walking out. I was a young kid. I was like 5 years old, and I walked out with the candy bar. And I think I started opening it and eating it. My mom was like, where Where the hell did you get that? Well, I took it. My mother, I think it was my mom, I don't remember. Mom, Dad, you probably remember, leave a comment. Marched me back up there, and I had to give that candy bar back to the cashier and say, I'm sorry, I took this. I stole it. I think most parents today, or the vast percentage of parents today, would just say, you better not do that again, and probably would let the kid eat it. And therein lies the problem that we have in the world today. No, we can disagree. We can disagree politically. I'm not going to not be me. I'm still going to make landscape videos. I'm still going to do photography videos. But I think a lot of the reason that my channel has been lackluster in its growth is because I felt afraid based on what people have said about me being a big jackass and I shouldn't be talking about this and nobody wants to know. As an example, I used to put in the photos all of the settings for the photography. Then people are telling me, I don't know what those numbers mean. They confuse me. Stop putting those on there. Can't win. So I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want to do. And if you want to subscribe and you want to watch, man, I appreciate it. I think that's great. But if you don't, that's okay. I understand. I'm a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow. But in closing, let me just say this about that. My friend and I, when we were talking in Theodore, Roosevelt National Park, she's openly a lesbian and unapologetic about the fact that she is. And we started talking about my faith in Christ, and we started talking about guns and her disagreement with guns. And she, like one of the people that I used to consider a friend, who was a super conservative and then has gone the complete other direction as far as his political beliefs goes, why do you need an AR-15 with all that ammunition, an assault rifle, an AR-15? Why do you need that? My answer to her was, because you don't have them and the government does. And we talked about gun ownership. We talked about my faith and about Christ. And I said, because here's the thing. People like you who support these bureaucrats and these people that are big government people, you guys are useful idiots. You go along with the totalitarianist way and the tyrannical way until they don't need you anymore. Because if you were to study your history, you would know that the groups that play the victim, that are elevated as victims when these leaders want power, are the very same people that they get rid of as soon as they are able to get all of their tyranny in place, all of their totalitarianist rule in place. The useful idiots, they don't have room for the victims anymore, so they get rid of them. And if you don't believe me, just study history. Go back and look at the various, the Stalinist regime, Lenin, Castro's Cuba, Hitler's Germany. I told her, you guys are going to be the first to go because you're morally depraved as far as the totalitarianist is concerned. And the thing is you might not want to own these guns, and that's fine. But I would be the first one standing in front of you saying, just because she believes this way or he believes this way, you're not taking them off as far as I'm concerned. And I think that really opened her eyes. One of the things that she said to me was, geez, oh, Pete, if I knew more gun owners that were like you, I might not be opposed to guns. Maybe. Maybe not. But I just know this. When I was driving around, and I watched a PragerU video recently about this, when I was driving around, the overall environment and the climate in the areas where there was big government running everything were depressed, and the people were down. I could just see it when I would be in the stores. Some of these places, I'm the only one walking through Walmart without a mask on. The people are looking at the ground. Nobody will look you in the eye. That's what life under totalitarian rule is like. And I saw it firsthand driving 10,100 miles. Why do I need the gun? I would say to my friend that asked me that question, why do you need that gun? He does video. Well, why do you need a $10,000 video camera? Because cameras are used to create pornography, in particular child porn. So you really shouldn't have a camera. You shouldn't have, especially the fancy video camera, because you can make kick-ass porn with a video camera like that. That's terrible, especially the kiddie porn stuff. And the adults are consensual, but the kiddie porn stuff? Well, that's the same argument that they use. You got one shooting of some nut-cased, crazed maniac, and none of us can own those guns. Well, I kind of feel like with all the kiddie porn out there, nobody should be able to own video cameras. How about that? It's the same stinking logic. So there's my political rant. I'm sorry if I've offended you. I hope that you'll stick around because regardless of our political beliefs, like my lady friend who I still consider a friend, we can still be friends. You know, it just comes down to, is the content something that you're interested in? So this is by far the longest video that I have made. This is my mini Rob sermon for today. And so I might have lost a lot of you, and that's okay. I understand that. But in the end, I just want you to know, as I close out, here's the deal. There's a ton of great video coming from all over the country. Stuff that you're going to see that's going to just blow your mind. It's so beautiful, I can't even hardly stand it. So I hope you'll consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video as we move forward. And, well, you're going to see great stuff. Epic beauty, supreme photography. And I think that's all I have to say. So that's my video update for today. Until the next one, I'm Rob. I'm Rob. And I'm out. See ya.